Amy Posner here, and I want to talk to you today about two topics that you wouldn't necessarily think intersected or dovetailed as closely as they do, but these topics are pricing and increasing your visibility. Okay, so I had two questions this week that were asked to me a couple times about pricing and about increased visibility. And as I started talking about the two of them, I realized that there's a really interesting intersection. What tends to happen, like let's take copywriters. Copywriters, across the spectrum have different skills, different skill sets, different levels of experience. So there's all kinds of variables between copywriters and over projects. Right. So, there are people writing websites for $25,000 and there's people writing them for $2,500. What is the difference? Is it the writer? Is it the client? And so what I'm going to suggest to you is if you don't increase your visibility, which puts you in the expert category, then you're a commodity. We all shop for commodities kind of the same way, right? We know the features we want and then we look for the best value. If a copywriter is a commodity, maybe I'm looking for price. I look at a couple of people and, their portfolios, they all look like they do pretty good work. They all seem, okay on the surface from what you get, from their website or talking to them or both. What's the real reason to hire any of them? Maybe you don't see it, right? They all seem pretty similar. Now, if you felt that one of these people was an expert or had something different that they brought to the table, suddenly they wouldn't be in the commodity bucket. You won't be comparing apples and apples. You're now comparing a different skill set. And what's available to you as a client at a higher price is more strategy, more skill, and more experience. Not relevant for everybody. But if you're differentiating yourself and sort of stratifying yourself into the area of being a specialist, then you want to promote that because it's going to matter to some people. Some people are going to want to hire the specialist. In fact, I think most people are going to want to hire the specialist over the generalist. So interestingly, increasing your visibility increases your perceived expertise, and it also increases your own confidence, which is your not perceived expertise, I guess kind of your internal expertise and what you know. Increasing visibility makes people nervous. I've had this conversation, ad infinitum, and the answer is almost always the same. And if you follow me at all, you've probably heard me talk about this, and that is, what do I have to say, right? Okay, I'm going to write web copy. What's new to say about web copy, where I can go out and make a big, bold, brash statement, or maybe not brash, but big, bold statement in the world, and you think, I don't know, you feel like it's all been said. So here's the thing. Here's the little secret. It doesn't matter what's been said. It doesn't matter if you have a unique viewpoint or a voice. What matters is that you've said something. Let's go back to this commodity example. Here's these three copywriters lined up. And I'm like, they all seem pretty similar, right? Prices are similar, work seems similar, what they say about what they do seems similar. But I noticed that this one over here has written a piece called, the 12 things you have to know to have a good converting website. It would be a much more intriguing title. But imagine that's the content. And so now, that's interesting. And I look and I see, I start to look at this piece and I see, this person over here is kind of an authority. They have opinions, they have a viewpoint. Now, your opinion or the viewpoint expressed in that piece may be the same as every other viewpoint or opinion out there. Probably not, right? We all vary a little bit. But the point is, you have a viewpoint. Right? Because if I've written a bunch on that, who cares? They're not hiring me. But if they're hiring you, or they're interested in you, and you've written about that, suddenly you become elevated in their eyes. What you want to have, I think everyone needs, is you need an anchor piece that shows your viewpoint, that's relevant to what it is that you're selling, right? Like I have a document called Copy That Closes, and it's about writing good copy, writing copy that speaks to your audience instead of copy that's all about you. And that's what it's about. And I have different pages that I use to adapt for different markets to say, here's what this kind of copy is, and here's how you can use it, for this specialty or in this industry or business. And so what that anchor piece does is it gives me instant credibility because people read it. It's like, she has a viewpoint. A lot of what you read, it's very direct response-y, that particular piece. And it's not really original thinking. It is my viewpoint. I have some of my own examples, but if you see what I mean, it just shows people that I have a viewpoint and I know my stuff. which is the whole point. I don't think that the better clients are making a decision on price. That's not the basis unless they have no other criteria. And so your job is to give them some other criteria. So some of that really is positioning. And so you need to find, like, what's your little je ne sais quoi, your little special something that you can talk about. Like for me, I talk about like being seasoned. It's like, oh, I figured out how I can capitalize on the fact that I have these gray hairs. It's like, I've been doing this a long time. And that's kind of my hook or my differentiator is years of experience. And so consider too that, what sets you apart could be anything. It could be the way that you do sales calls. It could be the way that you write your proposals. I have a really strong belief that proposals should be sales letters. Essentially, they should resell the project. They should reiterate what you did in the sales call. I also like proposals that have different options, right? You're listening for this other thing that they could need, and you offer it as part of this project, and you offer, a discounted price if they take both things. And that's a way to differentiate yourself. And another way to differentiate yourself is with your strategy. Particularly copywriters, I don't think we use this enough. I can't tell you how many times I have heard somebody say, either a client or a copywriter, where the client, tells me this, where the client has said, I didn't know copywriters did all that. You can help me with strategy and help me to figure this out. It's like we need to be blowing our own horns a little bit more. But think about the strategy piece. Think about the value you can bring to differentiate yourself when you can actually offer opinions and give advice. I mean, you don't, raise your hand. I can offer opinions and give advice because, nobody wants that until they know what kind of, opinions or advice you would give. But I just, as an example, like when I get on a sales call, in order to demonstrate my expertise, I'll tell them about what I see. Like, oh, you want to generate more leads, and we're talking about a marketing funnel, and it could have these pieces. But, there's also this possibility. By telling them what I see, they start to get a sense of how I think and what I know. That's a differentiator. I mean, literally, that's what I use to separate myself out. I go in not really caring if I get the project. I mean, certain projects I want more than others, but I am not emotionally attached to the yes or the no. I really am not. And it's from years of being in business and knowing that the no's are as important as the yeses, right? Because every business has metrics. You have to talk to a certain number of people to sign a certain number of contracts. And it's never everybody that you speak to. So that means that your metrics say, I talked to 10 people to land one project. Well, that means you need 9 no's, and you have to appreciate those people because they're part of your metrics and they're part of your equation. And without the no's, you wouldn't get the yeses. So I don't take it personally. I really don't care. And I think that comes across. And the less that you need somebody or want something, the more they want to give it to you and the more they move towards you. It's just this bizarre, fact of human nature of people wanting what they think they can't have. And so I don't play hard to get or coy at all. I'm very direct. I'm very straightforward, but I also let them know that I don't have a lot of time in my schedule. I don't take everything on. Now, when you're newer, I know that's really hard to do because it's usually BS, right? You don't want to be lying and making stuff up. But the more confident you are, or the more confident you appear, the more you differentiate yourself, the more you are the person in charge. So let's tie this all together. Increased visibility or establishing expertise is done most easily with an anchor piece. It's some piece, an opinion piece that you have. And the cool thing is once you have that piece, you can use it in all kinds of ways to get in front of your audience. It's the piece that says what you think. And I just want to encourage you, just do it. Make a shitty first draft. Tell yourself no one else is ever going to see it. Just sit down and say what you would say. What is your opinion? How does this all work? What do you see people need to do? If you're a web copywriter, what's the most important thing? What do they need to know? What are some traps that a lot of people fall into that they can easily avoid? It doesn't matter, maybe where you learn that or how you know that, it's what you know. And that's what I want you to share. And if you have that anchor piece, it's very easy, whatever kind of situation you're in, to say, let me share my, I'll say, let me share a copy that closes. This will give you a sense of my marketing viewpoint and my style and so on. And it's super easy. It's done. I just ship it out and it represents me really well. And so I think if you want to separate yourself and you don't want to be a commodity and you don't want to be chosen because of price, then have something that's different about you. And that is be an expert. And again, remember, being an expert is not unique to any one person. There can be a lot of experts in something. You can have the same viewpoint. You can have a different viewpoint. The important thing is that you have a viewpoint and that people know that you do and what that is so that they can choose you because of how you've expressed what it is that you do and what it is that you think. And it's much easier to choose somebody who, tells you what you're getting if you choose them. And so be that person and put yourself out there, and you will be very surprised how quickly, your conversations move to, oh, well, what's the price? And that's the decision maker to, wow, ooh, people are moving in closer. It's like, I want to work with this person. What will it cost me? So think about that. Like, instead of like, how little can I spend? How can I find the money to afford this person because they are the right person for the job? I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you some ideas and things to think about. And if you don't have an anchor piece, consider making one. There's even a way that you feel sort of grounded and solidified when you've got that created and available. If you haven't, you're probably agonizing, and that's not a great state to be in. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. If you'd like to be notified when these videos drop, click the bell. I'll catch you next time.